Alright. Hey, welcome to the second episode of Guildicate with the good guildmate. I am your host, Velociraptor! Now, I don't have any fancy screenshots for you guys this time, but what I wanted to talk about today was guild banks. Now, what do they mean, right? So, guild banks are essentially a collection of goods that are delivered by all of the members of that guild. So, what does that mean, right? Usually, like in a raiding guild, for example, the guild bank will have a lot of raiding materials. Like, let's say that there's potions or herbalism type stuff that are needed to advance just that slight little edge, you know, like 5%, 10% boosted towards your ability to complete that raid. Well, those are the kind of things that you'll find in most raiding guild banks, as well as like pieces of equipment and crafting materials to be able to make some fancy stuff that is needed. So basically what you're gonna get out of most guild banks is essentially just that, right? Now, it also obviously it depends on the game as well, because if, like, for example, you're in a heavily PvP oriented game and you're in a PvP oriented guild, there's probably going to be a lot of like health potions and mana potions and things of that nature. Or if it's not a game that uses potions, you know, like some sort of healing consumable and like resource consumable. That way the guild has a reservoir of goods that they can call upon at any given time in order to further the guild's goals. Now, there is some Guildicate involved in this, and yeah, Guildicate stands for guild etiquette. If you hadn't figured that out already. So, what is the Guildicate with a general guild bank? In my opinion, and in the rest of TGG's opinion, the Guildicate for a guild bank is usually put in more than you take out, okay? If you're one of those type of people that is constantly taking out of the guild bank, then there's going to be some problems. Because essentially what you're saying is, just give me everything and I'm going to give you nothing in return. And that does not sit well with a lot of officers and guild leaders in various states of gameplay. Like, as a guild leader, oh, that pisses me off like really fast when I see something like that, because officers that have access to this information, as well as the guild leader and second in command, they'll have a list of everybody that is taking stuff out and putting stuff back in, and essentially they're gonna see that, you know, you're taking more out than you're putting in, and then like the next thing you know, it's like they're gonna be like, whoa, hey dude, what are you doing? You're taking out everything, but you've never put anything back in. So try not to do that. You know, how can you contribute, right? Let's say, for hypothetical reasons, you're not the type of person that likes to go out and gather resources that would assist the guild in being able to craft like those resources, right? Like the health pots or the resource pots, right? Let's say that you don't enjoy gathering those raw resources to be able to make that, which is perfectly understandable. There's a lot of people that don't. What you could do instead is donate that game's currency. So, like, let's say in that World of Warcraft game, they use gold as their currency, right? So, you know, that gold could be used by the guild to buy the raw materials in order to make the goods that your guild needs. So, there's a way for you to contribute without having to do something that you don't exactly want to do. But the other options are, of course, you could go out and gather resources and deliver those, and you could gather You know, like if there's like little raid pieces that you need, like say tokens or broken pieces of equipment or whatever the case is, find out through your officers or through your guild leader what's important and how you can help. And they'll usually be like, oh, well, you could do this or that or something like that. And quite honestly, if they say, oh, you know, it's okay, we got that covered, we don't need help, well, that's kind of a veil, right? That's them being polite. They're basically saying, yeah, you don't have to help, but your help would be appreciated, is essentially what they're saying. But it's really simple, you know? Like, you can either do, like I said, you could donate raw materials, you could donate finished products, you could donate the game currency. But basically, as long as you're putting stuff in that is valuable to the guild, that's the other important facet of it, right? Don't throw trash into the guild bank. And you'll know it's trash because nobody wants it, right? And all that's going to do is take up space within that So, you know, let's try not to do that, because that's a little bit faux pas, you know. You don't want, I mean, like, the guild leader certainly doesn't want that sitting there, and the officers and all that stuff, because usually guild banks are fairly expensive to expand upon, right? Like, I mean, they're not like the end all be all expensive, but it's usually like you know, something fierce. I know that, like, in Star Wars: The Old Republic, for example, it was you know, it was a couple million credits to go ahead and do that. So all of that said, we are going to go ahead and feature our comment from last week, and it's Happy Taboo. Happy Taboo says, upvote me because I'm important. Well, sir, you are the featured comment of this week. Thank you guys for joining us today here on Guildicate. I hope that you learned something. You know, a lot of this early 101 information is going to be pretty basic. Tune in next week, next Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern, and we'll have another episode for you. Thank you so much for joining. We'll see you next time.